food inspirations and tourism. So let me introduce our moderator, the famous blogger, vlogger, activist of tourism in Uzbekistan and Central Asia, Michael Shamshidov. Welcome, Michael. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Slonir. This is very important event today. Samarkand Tourism Forum, it's not me, but me is a part of Samarkand Tourism Forum. Tourism multiplier. It's an effect which tourism brings to the land, to the country, to the destination, far beyond just tourism activity. What do we do when we come to the place? First, okay, we come, we accommodate first. What is next?
Food.
You are right, Umar John, because we want to eat. And not see on the fact that there are so many different definitions, like food tourism, gastronomy tourism, foodie. This is those who are travel for food, culinary tourism, and related activities like agri-tourism, rural tourism. All these things are related to food tourism, and this means that if we come and just after accommodation we want to eat, every kind of our travel can be called food tourism, right? Because anyway we try local food, anyway we learn something about like local products, yes, and local dishes, cuisine. So that means that food tourism is just a tourism, yeah? Every tourism is a food tourism. Why I emphasize on it? Because we have to understand that, like, we are talking about very important part of tourism. Every tour has a food component in it. And tourism is transforming. 20 years before, tourism mainly was about attractions. It was about like historical monuments. But now tourism is transforming. It's getting more and more emotional. People are expecting more emotions while they're traveling. Now I will introduce Rudy. Is from Singapore. He is representing tourism of Uzbekistan. He has a jointly established information center which represents Uzbekistan tourism in Singapore. Mr. Rudy Fang is the name of the topic, is a Singapore Hawker Centers. I'm very excited to learn more about this unique type of aggregation of street food in one place. And
Assalamualaikum everybody. I will share in the next 15 minutes about something unique about Singapore food culture. And Singapore Hawker Center is a UNESCO heritage. And very few in the world to have food culture as the UNESCO heritage. Yeah, Uzbekistan has a lot of UNESCO heritage, but the UNESCO heritage mostly more physical, right? A place like Samarkand or Bukhara, etc. But food culture, it is not a place. Basically, it is a culture. Yeah. Okay. So Hawker Center, a United Nations heritage, we got the UNESCO heritage in 2019, so recently. Okay, so if you manage to go to Singapore anytime, you will see this kind of places in many places in Singapore. It's very common. So it's called Hawker Center in Singapore. If you ask anybody, where is the Hawker Center closer to this place, they will tell you. Yeah, we are very proud about our Hawker Center, and this is one project that I also want to do. As MC just now mentioned, we want to establish Singapore Hawker Center in Uzbekistan and Central Asia too. Yeah, we want to bring this culture. It is from 200 years ago when the Sir Raffles Stamford came to Singapore. Yeah, and then at that time we have about 1,000 people only in Singapore. 1,000. 200 years ago. Now it's about 5.5 million people. Yeah, and this is my great grandfather at that time, right? They are like this. And what they do, of course, then they are all hawker, a worker, they are farmer, they are probably fishermen, yeah? And they need to eat, but they don't have money, right? They cannot buy expensive food. So what they do is then people start to have this business. I'm not sure in Uzbekistan or in Central Asia, but this kind of thing is very, very common in Singapore and a couple of places in Southeast Asia. Not many places, but a couple of places. So it's not only about food, but it's about humanity, I would say, because people are hungry, they need to eat, yeah, biologically. But when they eat, they need also to meet up with other people. So food is very interesting. It is not only biological, but it's also social. I just copy a little bit more wording, but don't worry, don't need to read all of these. But as I mentioned, very early when the British came to Singapore and set up Singapore as the port city, the government at that time, they have to think about the people, right? How can these people eat? What do I need to do? Yeah, and these people are military, right? Sir Reverend Stanford is a military man. So do we have to cook for these people, or what do we need to do? So they find a solution, and the solution is let them set up their own food business to feed their own people. So this is also part of the Singapore history, very, very unique, and we don't have this in other Asian countries. Yeah, it's very, very unique to Singapore. We call it also comfort food. Comfort food, it means that I eat, I remember my hometown. I eat, I remember my mother. I eat this, I remember my family, because these people come from China at that time, or from India, or from Middle East. They try their luck in Singapore because at that time it is a British port. Yeah. So, but they don't bring the family, they don't bring the wife, they don't bring the children, so they miss the home. How can they remember? They remember from the food. So comfort food is a very unique concept, especially for Singapore. Even myself, if I miss my mother, I will remember my mother loved to cook this for me. Then I call my mother, okay, I wish that you are here and you cook this for me. But too bad you are not here, so I have to find this food from the restaurant. But I remember you when I eat this food. Yeah, I remember my mother. So this is very important concept, and because of that, then in Singapore we have many traditional food from Chinese, Indian, Arab, etc. And also European food, yeah, because we were British by then. This is how they look like, yeah, at that time. These are all the street people, yeah, workers, and they need to find food. And then the government say, okay, now you feed yourself and you go and buy cheap food. And of course, then at that time it's not hygiene, and they got a lot of problem, yeah. After they eat, they got diarrhea, they got poisonous. Then when they eat this food, maybe the rats are running there. It's not healthy. But the British government didn't stop them. Why? Because they need cheap food to feed the people. If the people are not happy, then the military will be affected. People will do demonstration, right? Oh, I don't have enough food, it's very difficult, okay? Blah, blah, blah. So the British government at the time allowed these people to continue with the hawker business. Yeah? So for many years, until 1972. So long way from 1819. Yeah, about 200 years, 250 years. These people are just eating street food, not clean, yeah, and everything, but cheap. Now, 1972 is the modern Singapore. Singapore got independence in 1965. And the government say, okay, we need still cheap food. Yes, everybody want cheap food because if this is expensive, then they will also demonstration, and after that then they will tell government, okay, I don't have enough food to eat, or I have to spend a lot of money to eat. So they keep the cheap, but they resolve the hygiene factor. They resolve the cleanness factor, and what they do is we have what's so-called the public housing. So in 1972, we started to build a lot of apartment for people. Last time we don't have this kind of high-rise, and this is called public housing program. Until today, Singapore is probably among in the world who have our own house. 81% of Singaporeans live in this public housing. Is a high-rise apartment, and we own it. So the asset ownership of Singapore for the house is among the highest in the world because we got the pension fund, and the pension fund is used to buy the house. So if you get married in Singapore at 25 years old and you work until 55 years old, minimum you will have one apartment, and minimum you have asset of $500,000. So every Singaporean will have minimum $500,000 in the bank account as they reach 55. By structure, is fully planned. And the hawker center follow this structure. When you have a building and many people living there, they need to eat, right? So every public housing, every block, they will have hawker center. It is built by government. And they will invite these people who sell any kind of food to come, and then they will be like this. So we have the housing, and we have the food. At the time, they call it market and food center. So you can buy fish, chicken, or whatever, but you can also eat there. Yeah, it's very unique in Singapore. And every housing like this, they will go down to eat and buy food there. Today, like me, I never cook at home. Breakfast, I go down. Lunch, I go down. Dinner, I go down to eat in these kind of places. And so many people in Singapore do this because they don't want to cook anymore nowadays. Yeah, cooking is expensive, wasting time, right? And I have to cook. I cannot cook only for one person. I have to cook for the family.
Clean.
Yeah, we have to clean after that. So Singaporeans are very pragmatic.
Clean dishes. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and wash and everything. So yes. So this is the problem with the modern Singapore, but this is very structural, very structural. And it looks like also like this. So you see many places like this. Where is the food center? Where is the market? They will tell you. Of course, you can say hawker center. Yeah. Very uniquely Singapore, and we apply for the United Nations UNESCO Heritage because of like this. And then you will find after that, then the hawker is actually the peddler. Yeah. So they will bring this and they will say, okay, do you want noodle? Do you want soup? Do you want everything? I will cook for you. Yeah. So this is why it's called hawker. Yeah, from place to place. So they take the cheap food into one place, but now no more rats, no more disease, and then they have a hygiene rating A, B, C, D, E. A is the highest cleanliness, B and C the lowest is E. If you are D and E, you cannot sell.
Have your business.
You cannot sell. They will check every few months. They will check your garbage bin, they will check your kitchen, they will check your hand, do you cut your nail and everything. They will check all of this, yeah? A, B, C, D, E. D and E, you cannot have business. Go home and you have to improve. Then you can get A, B, C can. But if you ask me as a customer, I will not go and eat in the C. They put A, B, C in front. So I know, oh, this one A, okay. I want to eat here because you are the cleanest. Not the price. B, okay. C, no. I don't want to eat C. So it's very clear, and this is structural. So it is no longer, as I say, it is no longer only food, but it's also the structure, it's also humanity. So food is more than just biology. Yeah, it's more. Yeah, and I think for agriculture university is very important because we are talking about food related, how to produce all of this. You need to understand also the structure. And all ethnic. Singapore is multi-ethnic because when British came to Singapore and set up the port, they bring a lot of labor from India, from China, from Indonesia, from Arab, from everywhere. Yeah, and also Central Asia. We have also Armenia Street in Singapore, and at that time, people are from Armenia in that street. Of course, today is a very modern place, but it's called Armenia Street. Yeah, we have different kind of people. Yeah, there is no Uzbek Street, okay, but Armenian Street is there because of Armenian people. So that has been 200 years from the British colony time, and the food is according to your ethnic. So if you are Armenian people, you want to eat Armenian food, right? Because you miss your home, you miss your parent, you miss your family. It's a comfort food. I come from India, I want to eat Indian food. Yeah. So in all our hawker center, you have a full set of these by ethnic. Very, very unique. And then you will see this picture like this. Very common. And you see some Chinese food, some Malay food, some Indian food, some Arabic food and everything. And then you can choose which one you want to eat. You order and then you eat. Yeah. And then of course, if this is take example halal, you have the halal certification. So you will have the halal certification, everybody queue. So this is a Muslim shop with the halal certification, for example. So you see the A, B, C and halal certification. So this is also something that I always comment. Yeah, Dr. Sobi John is here. We discuss about the halal certification for Uzbekistan in regards to the tourism. Yeah, while in Singapore there is no gray area. It is black and white, halal or non-halal. Halal, you have the certification, Singapore government. No halal, no certification. Clear, no gray area. Yeah, so you cannot say my food is halal, but no certification. If you are halal, you have to have certification. If you are clean, you have to be A or B or C. And put this in front. So as a customer, I will not be mistaken. Yeah, so this is what we do. And we are very proud of the hawker center culture, and we are very proud to be the UNESCO heritage. Yeah, so this one is the hawker culture in Singapore, community dining and culinary practice in multicultural urban context. And this is, you can go to UNESCO website and then you will see a very detailed list and also how they do this. The video is very nice, but I cannot run it. 2020 we registered 2019 and 2020 is approved. Yeah, so very unique experience, and a lot of people come to Singapore to try the hawker center. So I hope any of you who come to Singapore will also try this as the very unique
Who is
UNESCO.
going? Any candidates? Okay, at least
So
few.
you will see like
Okay.
traditional, right? Come to Singapore and you see it's like shashlik, but it's a Singapore style. So thank you very much, everybody. Yeah, please, if you have any questions.
You said that there is something like our shashlik in Singapore.
Yes.
Is there are some samsa of Uzbek or like
Yes,
samsa
yes.
in
Yes, we call it samosa.
samosa?
Not somsa, samosa. It's actually like an Indian dish. Because I told you, because of the multicultural ethnic, we have also biryani rice from India, which is like plof or palau, right? But of course different ingredient, because historically it started with Uzbekistan and Turkistan at that time, and then Persian culture, and it went to India, right? The Mughal dynasty is actually the descendant of the Amir Temur, right? So after that they go to India, and then they spread into Southeast Asia. So when I eat biryani, I remember plof, right? So this is where I say food is not only biological, but it's social, it is humanity. So I will, later on, Dr. Sobijon, when you come to Singapore, you will eat Singapore shashlik, and you will eat Singapore somsa, yeah, and Singapore mante.
Okay.
Here we have, yeah, but different. Very good question, thank you.
I have an extension of your question, Mr. Sabijan.
Yes, please.
Okay, one day we go to Singapore to visit beautiful
Hawker center.
hawker centers. Yes, this is exciting story which you told us. But I have now in my mind I have a question: what we can do here in Uzbekistan to create such clusters or experiences
Yes.
like you Singaporeans do in hawker centers? And I will bring one example which came to my mind. This is Plov Center. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what is this. Every tourist is like brought to try different types of plovs in one place. Yes, in Tashkent. But I don't know any other example of such a how to call it centers or clusters. I don't know. But for instance, samsa. Yeah, we have so different samsas or samosas. Yeah, from like this big one, Jizak samsa, to Fergana Valley Parmuda like this, and all sizes in between.
But we have already existing the format, Uzbek style of the format.
Oh,
which
really?
called-
There is one?
Yeah, milli taomlar.
okay.
Milli taomlar. This is exactly what you have just mentioned. But there is only local, the Uzbek dish, not only internet.
Multicultural.
I mean the Korean.
What institution, what governmental institution is responsible for such standardization? Because if you said that this is a
Actually,
model,
they set up as a brand, milli taomlar format, but nobody standard make the
for
standardization.
standardization you always
Yeah.
need the
It should be some
institutional
activity.
support, governmental
The
support.
association of the.
Either regional
Right.
or governmental.
It should be association of the chefs
It
or
should
the
be,
some
it
culinary
must be
association
flexible
must
for business,
initiate this
but
process
it must
like
be
that
supported.
one.
Rudy mentioned that it is fully formatted,
Milli
right?
taomlar,
Yes,
it
it
is
is. It is
exactly
very
example.
standardized in
It can be
Singapore.
like this, but now for me, for user, yes, milli taomlar means like a synonym of Uzbek food. Yeah, it's just indication that this restaurant or cafe supplies Uzbek food. But we don't have different types of samsa in milli taomlar. Yeah? We don't have the variety. Usually we have one milli taomlar is with a lot samsa, one is
yes.
like so usually they prepare the types of samsa and
Yeah.
plov. Owners originated
Yeah,
from
but
some.
our
part of
goal
the-
in tourism is to bring interest, right? So
Yeah,
we
right.
need to say champagne is only from part of the friends, right?
Right.
And hawker are only Singaporean tradition, right? So we need to protect that to
Yeah, yeah,
everybody
yeah,
in the world.
Those centers of Uzbek food, concentrated Uzbek food, I'm sure they will be called milli taomlar in the future, and it will be registered and certified properly. Right?
UNESCO heritage.
Maybe
Exactly.
one day
But-
UNESCO
but
heritage.
look at this, it was called not cuisine center, it was cultural center.
Cultural center.
Because plov
Wow.
is not dish, it's a culture.
It's not biology.
UNESCO plov, you mean? Yes, UNESCO
For,
plov, which
for,
is in UNESCO.
for
already
understanding
registered.
in the world,
Yeah.
we need to promote not as a piece of rice with some. It is a phenomenal. It is
Right.
a cultural meeting. This is the importance.
You know the pilaf is already registered in UNESCO as an intangible heritage, but the nomination
For
pilaf
For
from
whom?
Uzbekistan association. I was participated
But
in
every
those
country
groups.
in Central Asia is claiming pilaf,
Yeah,
pilaf,
but
palov.
the two
It's
countries-
ours. It's ours. It is
No,
not
no, no,
Uzbek,
no,
it is
no
Tajik.
problem. Mamamir, there
Yes.
are two countries as initiated, Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, and no any conflict, no any contradiction between two countries, because they agreed. Uzbekistan started and Tajikistan joined it, but other countries can't join.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
from the moment it is registered,
What? But
you need to
I know the problems between Uzbekistan and Tajikistan.
Yes,
It is a
okay.
unique example, cultural. The nomination is called the cultural and traditional of the pilaf. You know, this is a cultural, and you mentioned this is hoka.
you see
We
also
cannot
hoka, yeah, just now, UNESCO
replicate the
heritage.
hoka because they are different culture.
All right.
One more question on this important topic. Not from the side of registration, yet formalization of it, but from the side of like marketing. My question is to audience. If there are some centers like hawker centers for Uzbek food, yes, where we have like 5, 6, 7 types of samsa, 3, 4, 5 pilafs, yes, and other different dishes, yes, in one place. Would you guys be interested to visit such a place? First, locals, because without support of locals,
Of course, local business must
no
be
business will survive, because tourism is seasonal.
I will never go to the tourist place. I would like to go to the local place.
Yeah. So anybody from Uzbekistan can answer my question. Will you go and will you bring your friends to place like this, or you will go to dedicated place to try alat samsa, because this is the best place for alat samsa in the city, yeah? Or you will go to the place where you can try 2, 3 samsa per like one time. For one
But the
time.
question is about the choice, right?
Yeah, and the question about like will you go, guys?
From my side,
Yeah.
I like culinary, gastronomy tourism, and I am open to taste the different types of food. The only question it should be halal, and I can go This is to the new formats, new type. I'm ready, and I like this one.
One thing is so the one thing is halal or not halal.
Okay.
Another thing is how
No
long.
gray.
The biggest challenge to me as a foreigner is that if I go at 2:15 to the local restaurant, there is nothing to eat. Because the food is served only from 12 to 1 and there is no food anymore.
By the way, good
After
question.
lunchtime, there is no
It is
place.
just only the pilaf
Timing
you are
of
talking
cooking.
about the pilaf.
Yeah.
But the milli
And only some
tomlar,
salad.
now milli tomlar,
They
up
are-
to the
And
very late of night.
even compote is not available. I love compote, but cola. I hate cola. That is it. Somsa, dry
That's
sauce.
I think we discuss also action item, right? Because we come not only to share, but we also want to do business. So this is something that we have started as I visited 2018 Uzbekistan. We want to bring this hawker center concept already to Central Asia. And the idea is not only the food, okay, but also the structure, the certification, the cleanness,
It is.
everything.
And marketing and business aspects.
So you cannot survive only on one thing.
Methodological.
And Singapore is very experienced on this one. What we can do is we are not a big country, right? But we have experience. We will bring this and we are looking for partners. Of course, if university is interested, we talk to Madam Rector, we can set up a small hawker center. In Singapore, we have F size, medium size, L size, XL, XXL size of hawker center. So we can create hawker center very small, but everything is according to the standard. So Singapore has this model already. So if we create, let's say, the cafeteria for a student, I can bring the hawker center in Singapore, then you can have Malaysian food, Singapore food, Indian food, Chinese food, all halal certified. Yeah, in the student campus, student cafe, and we open it up also for visitor. So not only student can eat, but the neighbors of the campus they can come and eat. Yeah, so I hope we can find this opportunity.
We are open to
Yeah.
that. Okay, big applause.
Thank you.
I'm very happy to introduce our last speaker for today, Mr. Hector Huerta. I will not say which country he is from, you will guess later. But his name says that he belongs to 500 million population of Spanish-speaking people in the world. Yeah. So Mr. Huerta is from Team University, and the topic is very interesting and complicated to understand, but I do guess we will understand it during your presentation. The food tourism country destination par excellence. So Mr. Huerta, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Michael. Appreciate it. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. Well, first of all, I would like to
A
thank.
little bit louder or closer? Oh, yeah,
Hi,
it's okay.
how about now? Is this okay? Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Well, first of all, I would like to thank the International Agricultural University for having invited me. But of course, I know that everyone here at International Agricultural University has been heavily involved in this. So thank you again, and once again, congratulations for such an outstanding job you've done. Thank you, Michael, also for the introduction. Yes, my name is Hector Huerta, and actually Hector is the Hispanization of a Greek name, Hectoras. Okay, so actually the origin is Greek. And yes, indeed, I am a lecturer at Tashkent Entrepreneurship and Applied Management University. Yeah, that's what TEAM stands for. And I'm going to talk about the tourism continent destination par excellence. So without any further ado, let's get going. Okay, so I love chocolato, and you? How about a dip made out of avocado, tomato, and chili with a lot of chips and huejoloto? In this hot weather, how about cooling off with a cashisha nut sorbet? Okay, so I bring these words up to you because I want you to guess the etymology of these foods and how they have transcended into many languages. Some have not, like a lot, but I will be talking about them in a few seconds. Okay, but first, analyze the words, see if you can figure out what I said, I love all of those things, and I think you do too, but let's see how well your etymology is. And I know here in former Soviet Union countries, philology is a very popular subject to study. I remember when I first traveled in Russia, practically everyone had major in philology, and I was like, oh my God, what is that? So finally I came to realize that. Now, can you guess the etymology of the produce and game? What about the country?
Closer, microphone closer.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. So, can you guess the etymology of the words? And what about the country? So, I'd like to ask everybody here. So, let's go back here to this slide. How about the first one? Chocolato. How about aguacate, tomato, chili? Can anyone guess what those words mean? I will be very delighted to share this with you because, as you know, sharing is caring. And a good way to share is food. So hopefully next time we can all sit and enjoy food, But in the meantime, let's start with the first one. Okay, chocolato is in the Nahuatl language. Nahuatl is one of the ancient languages of Mexico. Okay, so chocolato was a beverage only for the priests and the high class in ancient times of Mexico. As a matter of fact, it was a beverage reserved only for cats. Okay, so then we have, what we call the encounter of two worlds. What we call today America, which is a continent that stretches from Chile, Argentina, all the way north to Canada. All of that is America, and the other continent being Europe. So there was a meeting of both continents. Some people like to say that they discovered us. Well, sorry, we were not discovered by anyone. We've always been there. But in any event, the Spaniards came, and just like you have fallen in love with chocolate, that's what chocolato means, chocolate. So the Spaniards came, and they tried to write this down, this chocolato. Well, the best they could come up with in Spanish was chocolate. They took chocolate to Europe, and in France became le chocolat, in Italian cioccolato, and in English, well, you guessed it, chocolate. Okay, so that is one gift from Mexico to the world. Originally, chocolate was not made with milk because in the New World, as America is also known, the New World, we didn't have bovines or any of those animal species. So we used to drink chocolate with water mixed with chili peppers and other spices. So I know you may say, oh my God, combining chocolate with chili peppers is quite delicious actually. It's quite refreshing. In fact, I wish we could have had some chocolato right here, the old-fashioned way. You can still find it in Mexico, but it's not as common as the standard chocolate made with milk. Okay, so
I tried once in Mexican restaurant. It was like fried hot chocolate with chili inside and something else. It was long ago, but it was hot dish with meat, with chili and with chocolate.
No, I'm going to explain that because that actually is from my city. That's called mole poblano. No, that's different. It's a sauce. It's a sauce. No, the chocolate, the chocolato is a beverage. I was not going to talk about that, but since you touched upon that, Michael, I will solve that mystery in a second. Okay, so we know chocolato is Nahuatl for chocolate. Then how about aguacate? Can anyone think aguacate? What would that be? Got it. Good job. Avocado. That's right. Yeah, avocado. Okay, how about tomato? Exactly, good job, bingo. Exactly, boy, 3 in a row. Excellent, I love this. Now, how about elote? All right, so let me explain about elote. These are all, again, Nahuatl languages. Oh, and I forgot. Mexico is one of the top polyglot countries in the world. I think number 1 is China, followed by India, then it's Mexico. We are number 3 in languages. Unfortunately, the Nahuatl language is not spoken, widely, just, in the mountains, isolated communities. It's a shame, indeed. Okay, so elotl means maize, or what in the US they call corn, okay? So, but elotl is, the corn husk as we know it. Now, in Mexico we say elote. That became, the Hispanization of the word elotl. So elotl chips, well, that means, what people call, nachos. And the first dish, aguacatl, tomato, and chili, that is guacamole. If anyone ever heard of guacamole? Of course. Yeah. All right, so that's exactly the main ingredient. That's right. Okay, so then how about huejolotl? Any guess? Any guess here, since we are the etymologists here? Okay, huejolotl became written in Spanish as guajolote. Now, guajolote means Turkey, and by Turkey I don't mean the country. Changed name, by the way, 2 years ago to Turkey, but it's Turkey. Okay, so that is guajolote, a bird endemic to the American continent, essentially to North America, Mexico, US, Canada, and then we have this. So all these words are Nahuatl. However, the next one, Kajihanat, is not Nahuatl. Okay, Kajihanat has been translated as vanilla. Vanilla is also endemic to Mexico, and with this weather, we could really use sorbet made out of vanilla. Okay, so these are some of the words that there are many more. But since Michael touched upon this dish that he had at the Mexican restaurant, that is called mole poblano. Okay, and I come from Puebla, which is a city founded by the Spaniards in 1531. It's halfway between the harbor of Veracruz in the Gulf of Mexico and what today is Mexico City, which used to be the seat of the Viceroyalty of New Spain. Because when the Spaniards came, they were very much impressed with what they found there, a very wealthy country. And so they set up, 2 viceroyalties in America, Peru and Mexico. Well, so I hope you got that. So in any event, the thing I want to talk about is mole poblano. Poblano means from Puebla. Puebla, by the way, is a World Heritage Site, since, Mr. Fang was talking about UNESCO. It was registered way back in 1985. And so he was talking about this dish. Okay, now mole is a fusion cuisine because that dish incorporates clove, which comes from Asia, also includes almonds, which come from Asia. That also includes sesame seeds, which also come from Asia. So all these ingredients were made with chocolate, which is what Michael was referring to, and that gives this sauce, thick sauce, and you also add chili peppers, believe it or not. So you would say, oh, again, how can you combine, spicy with sweet? Well, you have to come and try it because it's a unique combination. And, there are many types of mole. There are of different flavors, different colors too, by the way. In fact, we could do a whole series on mole, maybe one of these days. So I just want to touch upon that which Michael said, and let me continue with the next one when we talk about this. Okay, so as I said, I come from Mexico, the Amigo country. Of course, these are other American nation flags, and as I said, America begins in the southern part, which is Chile, Argentina, all the way to Canada. Mexico is in North America, along with Canada, the United States. Okay, now there are other gourmet facts I would like to talk to you about Mexico real quick. There's this fruit, which is my favorite Mexican food, which is called mamey, and that's the picture you see there. It's hard to describe it because it's a very unique sweet flavor. It's very meaty, very creamy. It's just an amazing fruit that I hope you can have a chance to try it. And once you do, you will not be disappointed, and I think you will agree with me. Okay, then we have, that's another is zapote. Zapote, they are related to one another, and chapulín. How about chapulín? Any idea? There she is. How about chapulín? Any idea what chapulín might mean? Okay, chapulín is translated as grasshopper, and we eat them in Mexico. It's a great source of protein, and being, eco-friendly, environmentally conscious. All you need is just, a small tract of grass, and they start hopping, those, grasshoppers.
Must be very fast in grabbing them.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. You have to be, very, very fast. And again, we eat them dry with, different chili peppers in guacamole, and they're amazing. Okay. Oh, and before I forget, speaking about, corn. Well, corn, is basic for Mexicans, just like, wheat is basic for bread. Well, for us, corn is basic. We make tortillas, which is a flatbread. Well, we use corn for all other things as well. Okay, also Mexico has the oldest wine industry, again, in America. And especially red wines, due to the terrain, which by the way is sort of similar to the soils that you have here in Uzbekistan. I had some of your wines, Sultan from Termez, when I went to the Boysun World Heritage, UNESCO World Heritage Festival. And I was quite impressed because the owner of Sultan is a lady, and she was right there out in the sun selling her products. I was very excited to see female entrepreneurs. Okay, you probably have heard about tequila. Okay, margaritas, who doesn't like them? Then we have Kahlua, which is actually made from coffee, and it's a very tasty liqueur that you use it, for desserts. You can also drink it on its own, obviously, but it's quite good for different desserts. Now, Mexico is probably one of the few countries where you can eat something different every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is how diverse our cuisine is. You will not have the same breakfast every day or every other day. You can have different dish. Same thing for.
Uzbekistan.
Well, because you brought that up, sir. All you need is plov.
And you are never disappointed with plov. You can have every day the same.
So that's what we Mexico offers to the world from a culinary point of view. Very rich culinary heritage. Once again, thank you very much for your attention. And thank you to the organizers. Thank you, Michael. Delightful. Thank you.
Hector, thank you very much for really wow presentation. And what is obvious after this, that food tourism, it's not about just the food like Dr. Rablevsky mentioned before. It's not about rice and meat to it. Plov is about culture. Okay, we understand this. But what else we can get as an outcome from this session? So, food tourism is about content, and it's about storytelling. Storytelling! This is what modern tourism is based on, yes?
People.
Not only tourism, everything now based on storytelling. People want stories, emotions, there are a lot of products, yes? Abundance of everything, yeah? We need stories. And these beautiful stories about some definitions and words, we can use it for presentation. And I remember it, my own small research which I made in India. This is the heritage of Baburids, a great Mughal empire. And Babur, he was born on the territory of modern Uzbekistan, and he conquered India. And there is a big heritage of, let's call it Uzbek, yes, or Turkic culture. And in India you will find naan everywhere. This is one of the breads, yes, they have like 3-4 different types of bread. Naan is everywhere. Samosa is the Indian word, yes, and this is samsa and samosa, and I think to Singapore it came with Indian diaspora, yes, and population. Tandoori you will find everywhere, tandoori fish, tandoori meat. Tandoori is local word, and I don't remember now, but there were a couple of other words, and I didn't go deeply. I think if research will go deeply, there are many other affinities, yes, and words which every of these words can be used like material for storytelling. So storytelling is very important for food tourism, for any kind of tourism, yeah. And look how many we can storytell using our agriculture heritage, our cultural heritage, yes, and everything that comes to the food. So I'm very thankful to speakers of my session, and of course to organizers.
And of course to Michael Shamshidov.
Thank you.
Big applause for Michael. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to mention one comment regarding the association, the organization created forum. I'm coming from Poland, with the country which went from the Soviet time into free economy time. And one of the solution, one of the factor influencing development of every sector is having associations, having forms of people's grassroots activities. We have here strong government with the initiatives, fine, but we need to have the transition channels. So this is my big appreciation to you, Michael, that you decided, I know that was a big job for many years, to establish the forum.
Samarkand Tourism Forum.
For people from different parts of the meeting of the industry. It is hoteliers, there are guides, there are tour operators, even banks, media. All of them are necessary to create clay, glue. People must understand each other and communicate each other. It is immediately influencing the speed of business, cost of transaction. If I know, when I went to RLC, which was my dream for 7 years, I called him and I received the recommendation in half an hour, right? 2 people and wife decided with 1. So it was my immediate gain. I spent on that 3 minutes of conversation. If without him, I will spend even in internet the research maybe 2 days. With whom to go? What is the price? What is the program? What is the language? Right? For the foreign people. So having contacts, having the glue is immediately influencing on business. Thank you once again.
As we saw in a fantastic presentation of Dr. Huerta, do you remember he displayed first not his country of Mexico, but the entire Americans, continent, 2 continents, yes, and all countries. What I wanted to mention, guys, it's very difficult to promote one separate country, yes, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, all post-Soviet countries are fighting for their name to appear on the tourism map, because tell the truth, people know like Russia, yes, and they still call our part of the world as a Russia, yeah. But if we will work like on Central Asian level, yeah, it's a real big destination, Central Asia, yeah, and my dream is to make Central Asian destinations the same like European destinations. So if someone goes, he says, I go to Central Asia and I will visit 2-3 countries. Yeah.
So he knows everything about tourism, no doubt. Bravo.
And Samarkand Tourism Forum is not for Uzbekistan, professionals of Uzbekistan tourism only, but for all Central Asian states. So invite your friends from all countries to be with us. Thank you.
Hector, please.
Real quick about what Michael was just saying, that last millennium, many years ago, Mexico tried to work with the Central American countries to create the Maya world, but unfortunately politics got on the way. And similar to what Michael's saying, because I always consider that the Central Asian republics should be promoted as one cultural destination, not as separate, because we are so intertwined with one another, linguistically, culturally, food-wise. So I hope, Michael, your initiative to promote Central Asian republics as one tourist destination will come to fruition.
Bravo!